What's going on, you guys? Okay, so today we have a full unboxing and a view and a review of a Russian mechanical watch. This is a Slava Tank watch, and this is a new watch, okay? And what I mean by new is, it's not used. It's not one of the vintage ones from the 80s. I just bought this, got this a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to tell you guys the whole journey I went through buying this. This came straight from Russia. This is a Slava Tank, and when I was looking for it here in the U.S., I wasn't able to find anything on it. Just like the last video I posted on that Xeno watch, nothing on it. So I want to do a review so you guys can check it out, so you guys can see it. So let's do it. So this is the Slava Tank. Okay, I don't know if you guys have heard of the brand Slava. There's a few Russian brands out there. Raketa, Molnia, and then Slava is another one. So here we go. Take that off, little brown box. You got right here, it says Slava, that's in Russian, Slava 1924. Now, Chelsea pushed me to get this. I was kind of online browsing, hanging out, and I've been wanting this watch, and she said, well, you just got your citizenship, it's your birthday coming up, so why don't you get it for yourself? You guys, I can't stress this enough, how nice it is to have someone who, doesn't beat down on you and actually supports you and goes, hey, why don't you get this for yourself because you've been doing good or whatever. It's a nice feeling. Okay, so Slava 1924. All right, here we go. You open them up, you got another leather box right here, and then this thing has a flap. This big box has a flap. I'll tell you guys all about how I got this, where I got it, and all that. I just want you guys to be able to see it. So we're taking the leather box out. And here we go, guys. Here we go. The grand opening. Here we go. Oh, yeah. That's nice. That's beautiful. Okay, that's a nice watch. I will say this watch, when I opened it, it looked nicer here than it did on the pictures online. So what do you get with it here? You get a passport. This is a collection series. So there's 300 of these made. This was a limited edition. So 300 of these watches made. So let's see what's in the book, if there's anything important. This is a passport, it says, for your wristwatch. So this is the Slava model was released in 1975 for the delegates of the KPCC, which was 24th of February 1976. That's a little bit about the watch. Okay, so that's the booklet. We might get this out later again if we need it. User manual, all that good stuff. All right, let's take the watch out. Oh, this thing, guys, this is so nice. This thing just looks so nice, you know? It's just such a nice looking watch. It really is. Okay, so let's go over some of the specs here. So this case size, it's 42 millimeter case, 42 by 13. Let's see, this is kind of a weird shape, so let's see. We've got the trusty calipers here. I've got my 22.5 mil gauge block. Let's see how it goes. I like that. That's good enough. So 42 millimeters. I wonder how they're counting. So this has a lip on it on top there. Now this is a limited edition model. There's another model that looks like this called the televisor, but it's a different model. So I don't know who was measuring this case, but this is 30 millimeters by 36, okay? And the whole thing, yeah, 41, yeah, so it looks like about 42 there. So 42, and then you guys see here on the side, it says number 45, so that's out of the limited edition. Let's grab the thickness real quick, 13. I've got it more at 15, but it says 13 on the specs. I've got it more at 15. Okay, we'll take it. We'll take it. So it's got a sapphire glass, okay, right here. And this glass is beautiful. I don't know if you guys, it's hard to see it. It's almost like this glass has different levels and steps on it as you look at the sapphire crystal. And it's, it makes the lines, the dial lines kind of look, I don't want to say, it chops them up a little bit. It's super cool. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's almost, it's not flat. It's not flat and it's not domed exactly. Okay, so it's a sapphire glass. The strap is a stainless steel 904L, okay? And this is a manufacturer Slava 2427 automatic movement. Now keep that in mind, you guys. This is, when we get into this, we're gonna talk about all this stuff. We're gonna talk about this movement and what it took for me to get it, okay? So the weight on this big guy, it says it's 175 grams. So let's see what we got. I got ounces here. I've got 189 grams. They got 175 on the website. I've got 189. Okay, somebody's off, but you know, we're not gonna hurt them for it. And you know what? This feels, this does feel like a heavy watch in the hand. When we go over the fit, we'll talk a little more about it. Okay, and so the price for this was $1,500 from slava.su. That's their home site. That's the manufacturer's website. And it was $1,333 from a website called Miranom, okay? And then I paid $67 extra to ship this DHL, which I would absolutely highly recommend if you guys are buying a watch, shipping it from Russia. I would absolutely recommend paying the extra for DHL and not Russia Post. Because those packages from Russia Post tend to get hung up in the Middle East. They tend to get hung up in Cologne, Germany, actually. See how much research went into buying this thing. Because the price is so much, I was sending money overseas, kind of going, hey, I might get something, I might not. So the special features on this, okay? This is an automatic Slava 2427 movement, okay, manufacturer movement. And this is a day date. So you have the day and the date. And what I love about this, and this is, if anybody's watching this from Sturmansky, the one thing I didn't like, I was going to get a watch from Sturmansky also, which I probably will still anyway. The one thing I didn't like is their date was in English. And I understand, I get it, but I said, you know, it's a Russian watch. Why isn't the date in Russian? I want the date to be in Russian. So as my search kind of started, I mean, I want the whole thing. This is kind of how I found it. So there you see it's Wednesday, and that's in Russian there on the date. So, okay, for the fit, all right, when this thing is in your hand, so this thing looks big. When this thing is in your hand, it's big and heavy. But when you wear it, it actually wears a little bit smaller, I would say, than what it feels like in your hand. So let's throw it on. The one thing about this that you may dislike, you may not, doesn't really matter to me. So you have this clasp, all right? You have this clasp. And it only goes one way, right? So if you clasp it this way, click, can't get this on. You guys see that? So it only goes on one way. Okay, there you go. And you guys see this is a S right there, which is Slava. That's their, not logo, but that's their line type, letter type or whatever. So the clasp closes one way. If that bothers you guys, it is what it is. You just get, you know, you get used to it. And then when you wear it, I would say the watch is extremely, very comfortable. Now, don't roast me. I said this in the last video. Don't roast me. I got a 7.5-inch wrist. Here's what it's looking like, all right? Here's what we got. So to me, like, it's weird because when I'm holding this watch in my hand, it feels like big and bulky, okay? But when I'm wearing it, it doesn't feel like it wears as big, all right? Okay, so let's go over a couple of likes and the dislikes that I have, okay? So number one, for the likes, I would say one of the likes I have, this is hard to get. This watch is hard to get. That's one of the things I like. It's also one of the things I dislike, okay? Oh, before I go, let me show you guys. Well, we'll go through this. So, all right, so I'm going to tell you guys a story of how I got this watch, okay? So I was looking at this. I was looking for this watch. I was trying to get it, and I went over to Slava, obviously, .su, which is the manufacturer's site. Of course, that's where you'd go. And I went to buy it, okay? I ordered it. I placed my order for the watch. I got to choose a limited edition number, and there was only 5 left that I got to choose, like 291, 296, and there's a limited edition of 300. So I got to choose my limited edition number, and then I went to checkout. Let me close this door. Hang on. I got these locusts out there. They're like so loud out there. So I went over to Slava, which is the manufacturer's website, of course, trying to get this thing, okay? Went and placed my order, and they said, well, we got to calculate shipping, so we'll email you. So they email me. A day later, somebody emails me. I haven't paid for anything at this point. So somebody emails me in Russian or from Russia, from slava.su in English, and they say, hey, here's the shipping, and the shipping ends up being like $160. And I say, cool, yes, let's do it. Everything's in rubles, okay? So I say, cool, yes, let's do it. And they go, we're going to send you the invoice, and the invoice has a link to pay. So they send me an invoice. I click on the invoice, and it takes me to Robokassa, okay? And this is the Russian payment system. I'm guessing this is something like PayPal, right? If you guys know more than me, let me know. But it's Robokassa, and this thing was not accepting Visa, was not accepting MasterCard. So I was going back. It didn't take PayPal. I was going back and forth with the customer service lady in Russian in Moscow, and she's going, well, we've sold in the U.S. before. I don't know why it's not going through. And I'm like, hey, I got a regular card. My cards work here, all that. So she said, well, we have sanctions, and that causes problems or whatever. So I wasn't able to pay them on the manufacturer's site. I was not able to pay for this watch, okay? So now I said, well, now that I can't get it, I have to get it. I have to have it, okay? So I hopped on over on and tried to look for some other ones. I couldn't find anything. I hopped over on Instagram, and there was a guy on Instagram that deals in Russian watches, and he repairs them. Looks like a really clean, nice website, nice page. And I talked to him a little bit. He said he couldn't get it for me. He couldn't get me a new one. He said he had older vintage ones that may have gotten that he refurbished, but he couldn't get me a new one. So I called a friend I have here who's married to a Russian lady, and I said, hey, my man, your wife's got to help me out. And so I talked to his wife, and she said, I can call my dad in Russia. He might be able to get it and ship it over. And she said, if we can wait till December, I'm going to go over there to Russia myself and visit my family, and then I can bring it over. So I calling people, called my mom and see if she could help, if she had some friends in Russia that could help. Couldn't get it done. So I went over and I found this site called Miranom, okay, .com. I went to it and I scrolled through. They have Slava watches, but they had the TV, but they did not have this tank, okay? So I emailed a guy in Germany, which was Poljoy, I think, Polo, for watches, supposedly a really good reputation company in Germany. They said they could import it, but they'd have to buy a big quantity of them, so it's not worth it for them doing one. I emailed that site Miranom and I said, hey, is there any way you guys can get this watch? No response. So when you want something, you go check back. So the next day I checked back on Miranom.com, and I shit you not, you guys, this watch was on there, ready to order, okay? And they took PayPal and they shipped DHL. So I said to myself, okay, I sent these guys an email, and the next day they put this watch up on. I said, whatever. They just copied the picture from the Russian, the manufacturer site, put it on there. They're going to take my money. I'm not going to get anything. So I sent over the money, paid with PayPal. Sure enough, I got a DHL tracking number, DHL shipping number. About a week and a half later, it arrived at my door, and I was tracking it through Germany, through Dubai, through the whole world. So it did get to me, but it was absolutely a journey. And actually, on the terms and conditions on the Miranom site, it actually says the color may not match, other things may not match, the details may not be the same. So basically, if you guys are going to buy this, buy something overseas or from Russia, I would just say, just don't be afraid to lose that money. Because when I really wanted this watch, but when I sent that money over there, I said, 50-50, I'm going to get nothing, I'm going to get a different watch, or I'm going to lose my money. Now, when I was able to pay with PayPal and ship DHL, I got a lot more peace of mind, of course. But that's just the story of how I got it for you. So that's one of my likes, is I like how hard it is to get, which means not a lot of people are going to have it, at least in the US. I don't know about it in Russia. You guys will have to tell me. But here, at least it made me feel like I'm getting a rarity. Whether I am or not is a different story, okay? But that's what it made me feel like getting this, okay? I like the fit. Another thing I like is the fit. I love how it wears. Like I said, it wears smaller than it feels, if that makes any sense, in your hand. And I love the fit. I love the comfortability of it. It's very comfortable to wear. It's a big watch. It stands out, but you can wear it all day still. The finish, I love this shiny finish on the stainless. I think this looks so nice. I love this. And then on the back, the open back showing off that it's the old Slava 2427 movement, and here it says a sapphire glass, 904L stainless. All this says in Russian. 904 2427 says made in Russia, and 10 ATM. Water resistance, which means you guys can get some water on it. I wouldn't go swimming with it necessarily, but you guys can go get some, guys can get rained on it and can splash on it, okay? I love the look. I think this watch is super unique, which at the end of the day is why I got it. I think this watch looks super unique. I've never really seen anything else like it, another watch like it. So I love that about it. And I love the size. I love the size of the watch. I think this is a perfect size. It's big, but it's not obtrusive. It's not massive. It sits well. It fits nice. So I love the look and everything about the fit and finish. I am just so happy with this watch, okay? So let's go over some of the dislikes. I got another story for you guys, and then we'll wrap this up. So my first dislike is the price. Okay, so this is what we need to talk about. So I did a deep dive on this company and on this watch, about as deep as I could get. I went over to the Russian YouTube, I went over to the Russian Googles and tried to look this up. And so it's interesting history, okay? So Slava used to make these watches in the 70s and in the 80s, okay? And by 2010, it was like 2009, they shut down. 2010, the brand was taken over by the municipality of Moscow, okay? And in 2019, that was bought from Moscow and started producing watches again. Now, watching the videos of their factory and of their production, it's interesting. They use some creative language. So put it this way, okay? All these watches used to be manufactured in Russia, right? In the Soviet Union, right? With the Slava 2427 movement. Nowadays, here's what I found. Here's the best of my ability I was able to find. This bracelet, this case, all the outside comes from China, okay? This comes from China. It feels really sturdy, okay? But I guess, this is, again, as far as I was able to find, this comes from China at this point in the development of Slava, okay? And the movement, okay, for their new watches that aren't limited edition, I think they're using a Miyota movement, a Japanese movement, and then for these, the limited edition ones, they're using an old Slava 2427 movement, which was left over from the Soviet era, which means they have, and they said they have about 18,000 of these movements left, literally sitting in boxes on a shelf. So when an order gets placed, that box gets pulled and the movement gets taken out, cleaned up, refurbished, and put in here. So this is an original Slava 2427 movement. Do with that what you will, because, is it better than having a cheap Chinese movement in there or a cheapish Japanese movement in there? I don't know. What you have in there right now is a 30 or 40-year-old, about 30-year-old Soviet movement that gets refurbished and put in, right? So this factory over there is not manufacturing watches necessarily, right? They're putting watches together at this point with different parts, right? So I don't know how you feel about that. I'm not sure that justifies the $1,500, $1,333 price tag. Now, am I disappointed in what I paid? No, I'm not, because I wanted the look of this watch. I don't think you can find anything out there that looks like this watch. So for me, this was well worth it. I was not disappointed in it at all. But some people like the mechanical side of things. Some people like the movement side of things. And so you need to do what's best for you. So if you're going to buy this watch for $1,333 or $1,500 off the Slava site or $1,333 off the Marinum site, you need to know that it's assembled in Russia, but it's not, the parts are coming from China, like the bracelet and whatnot. And the movement is an old Russian movement, Russian automatic movement that gets refurbished. Again, this is just information. Feel about that how you want. But that's it. That's the information that I found. So a couple more dislikes and then I'll get you out of here. Number two, the availability of service here. So this watch, I don't know what I'm going to do when something breaks, when something goes. Being that it's an old Russian Soviet movement, being that I shipped it from overseas, I don't know how comfortable people are shipping things to and from Russia right now. I certainly wouldn't be with the sanctions we got and with everything going on. I wouldn't be. So if something goes wrong, my one of my concerns is the availability of service that we have here. Okay. Number two is it's hard to find information about the company here in the US. So you're kind of going in blind, right? You watch guys can go look up Rolex, look up Tissot, find all the Citizen, find all the info you want. This company is hard to find info on. All this info I found, I had to go type in, the Russian YouTube in Russian letters, like the Russian alphabet, so that it gives me all Russian results. And that's how I found all this information, okay? 3, 4, whatever. The clasp has to close a certain way. Small gripe, whatever. You might dislike it. You might like it. I don't know. Another one, the comfortability level of buying overseas. Again, when you're buying things from Russia, I've ordered things from China, phones and whatnot I get from China all the time. No problem. Russia, the way the world is right now, I don't know how you guys feel about that. So just keep that in mind, okay? And then the other dislike I have, and this is more of just a note, their new movements are the Japanese Miyota movement. And what's interesting is we do wonder, they have these limited edition watches, and they have 18,000 of these Slava 24-27 movements left. What's going to happen after those movements are gone? It's interesting. And how well do these movements run right now? So I got this watch new. It came in. I received it, like I said, about a week and a half. I'm very happy with the purchase. The watch feels solid, sturdy. I've had no problems with it. I'm very happy with it. You guys take this information, do with that what you will, but this is the Slava Tank, not the vintage, not the original, the new one. Here it is from Slava. And this was a Russian watch review. And you guys tune in. We're going to have more stuff. I appreciate you.